Okay, so we're picking up with more of the layout wiring, and today I'm going to be installing a 153 infrared controller. This replaces the need for a track activator, which in order to use those track activators you can't secure your track. I use tubular tracks, so if you want to use the tension controllers that came with all the post-war stuff, you'd have to loosen up your track, and loose track leads to loose connections and slow down spots on the track. So Lionel came up with this 153 controller, which is sitting here. You have an option with it. It comes with this little board which would screw in here, and that allows you to get power directly from your track, or you can direct wire it. For my use, I don't use this because I like direct constant voltage. The items that I use, especially if you're using a lot of them, makes quite a draw on the track. So then of course every time you activate it, it will slow down the train as well. So how this works is it sends out the infrared signal from here, and you can adjust the length of the activation and the sensitivity of the activation by adjusting these two pot adjusters here. I like these units. I will also say they're temperamental. There's a couple of things that I've discovered in using them, like anything else. Another reason I wouldn't recommend using them with the track is sometimes I end up having to elevate these a little bit to get the beam to hit where I want it to hit. The other thing I've found is sunlight affects these where they won't activate if they're in direct sun. So here is the wiring area, and so if you're not using track power, you would set up your constant voltage right here, and then you have the accessories get hooked up to this block. So normally open, normally closed. Most of the time you would use the normally open. That would be for your crossing gates. If you want to use this one, it's like when you're using the block signals. So you use both of those. Then you have your input power. So you can power this separately from whatever this voltage is. So you can, this is your auxiliary power and your auxiliary, so power and ground, normally open, normally closed. So what I'll do is I'll just do a test wiring right here, and I'll show you how the adjustments work and test this unit out. All right, so now we're all wired up. We got power to the unit itself being fed here. This is the power for the accessories. One of the things to note with these is the activation is through the ground wire. So this, when it's normally closed, the ground wire here is what feeds and completes your circuit. So what I have wired up here is a crossing signal and a pre-war block signal. So we got the green and the red, and so the green is hooked up to the normally open side, and now when you go past with the infrared reader, it activates the closed side. And if that was too short, here you get a screwdriver, and again, I showed you before, you got two adjustments. You can turn this to be longer. There you go, almost to infinity here. So I usually have my signals kind of a short duration. So I turn it back. and that's how it works. The sensitivity one, it's almost on all the time, but that totally needs to be adjusted based on your layout and the location. So that's how this works. Next thing is I'm just going to transfer this all over to the layout and do that wiring. I'm going to end up having a semaphore, 2 crossing gates, and this block signal controlled by this controller. So that'll be the next step, and I'll pick up the video once that's installed and wired. Sidebar. So, I'm trying to move ahead and do my thing, and I'm just including this because you're set up to do one job and then something else happens and it takes 2 hours to figure out what's going on. So this works with one of the infrareds I already installed, but for those who know the Watchman Tower, it has a light bulb in it, and for my layout I can't use the light bulb the way it's wired, so I use separate bulbs. That way I can turn them off separately if I want to turn my building lights off, and the accessory will still work. So I had one out light bulb, and I wanted to go ahead and fix that, so which I went to start and do. And of course, messing around, all of a sudden now I end up with a short, and ended up having to do a little bit of rewiring because of an out light bulb, and that set me back about an hour and a half. So, stupid things cause frustration, but in the end it ends up being better. But one thing at a time, and just tackle it as it comes. So I have not yet got to finish the wiring of my other things, because you get distracted with other little things. But yeah, even on these videos, and it's not a perfect world, and on we go, and you meet the challenges. So now with that, I will continue with the other job once I get this put back on the layout. We're all wired in now. So I got 3 infrareds installed. And as I'm working my way toward the front, I did some more landscaping here. Same method as in my past videos. I'll go ahead and do the detailed one on my next video. So tomorrow I'm going to start working on the horse corral up to the house under construction, and then work this way. And I have another infrared guy to put here. And so we'll go ahead and send a guy around, see how it works. right, calling it a day. Wait for the stuff to dry. Start a new video tomorrow. Have a good weekend, guys.